Thank you for coming. So this is our first session of the Cooking Matters class. So I am going to be with you for the next 4 weeks. Every Wednesday at 11:30. I apologize for the late start today. We will get started at 11:30 the remainder of the week. So this one I was just a little behind today. I'm going to be teaching this class with Christina. She's my coworker. She's actually going to be taking over soon for the remainder of the courses because for those that can't see, I am very pregnant and I'm only going to last for a couple more weeks. But I just wanted to kind of come here and introduce the course to everybody. So what is Cooking Matters? Each week I'm going to come with a different topic. So this week is all about variety. We're going to talk about kind of the colors of the rainbow in regards to fruits and vegetables. Today I'm going to be making a fruit salad with kind of an array of different colored vegetables, or fruits, sorry, not vegetables. And the main point here today is I'm going to be kind of talking about the stigmas when it comes to buying fresh, frozen, or canned. So that's going to be the main topic. Each week we're going to cover something different. Next week's going to be all about whole grains. So we'll go into a lot more discussion about what whole grains are versus refined grains. We'll make a really delicious vegetable quesadilla with a whole grain tortilla. The following week will all be about healthy drinks and kind of how a lot of people hide the sugar content in all of these beverages that come out on the market today. So we're going to kind of talk about healthier beverages and what we can do at home ourselves to make something really delicious. And then the final week will be about snacking. All of us some are big snackers, some don't snack at all. So we're going to be talking about some kind of healthier options for snacking. But yeah, from here, we're going to go ahead and get started. So can you all see a little bit of this? I might have to move it to the side a little bit. Is right here okay? Can you see it? Want to make sure everybody. So I'm going to start with talking about, I just want everybody to take a minute to kind of tell me some pros and cons when it comes to fresh. So can anybody tell me what is a pro of buying fresh produce?
Tastes good.
Tastes good, yep, the flavor. Is there another pro for buying fresh produce? Nutritious, yep. Those of us that are online, feel free to go ahead and shout out as well. Any other pros? What about that they haven't been touched yet? They haven't been through a cooking process. So they have, full taste, but also color. Sometimes when the canning process or even freezing kind of loses the color and sometimes the kind of stiffness, almost the ripeness of the fruit. Can I see the board? Sorry, after you're done. All right, what about some cons for buying fresh? Yep, exactly. It has a low shelf life, so you can only store it for so long. Some additional cons to buying fresh? Anybody? Storage, yeah, you have to have the storage in your household to keep it all. That's a great one. All right, so how about frozen? Can we name some pros for frozen? Buying frozen fruit or vegetables? Storage, okay. Do you want to put that as a pro, or it couldn't actually be a pro or a con? For a pro, okay. Yeah, I was going to say it could be both. If you have a small freezer, that could be an issue. Very nice. What about some, thank you.
We have someone online saying too much sodium.
There you go. Okay. Yes, they can add different artificial, or they can add sweetener as well as sodium to anything that's frozen. Jean, thank you for joining us again. Jean was here with us for bingo size as well. All right, so sugar. Oh, wait, it's not a pro, sorry. Sugar / salt. All right. Can you say that a little louder? Sorry. Less preservatives, yep. All right, what about canned? What are some pros to canned foods? What about cost? Cost is always normally a little bit lower when it comes to buying canned. Judy, what did you say? Sorry. Cheaper, yeah, the cost, it's way cheaper. A lot of the time you can get good sales when it comes to buying canned. Convenience, yep. Yeah, canned doesn't require much cooking. You can strain it, rinse it off really quick, and you can sometimes eat it right there and then, or if you wanted to heat it, you can. What about canning at the peak of its freshness? So they can exactly when you want to eat the fruit or vegetable. So you're always going to get the sweetest fruit or the ripest vegetable. I didn't account for how low I was bending for this poster. What are some cons for canned foods? More trash, there you go. Somebody else was saying something? Yep. Just for the sake of bending, I'm just not going to write on the board. But yes, any other cons? That's very true. A lot of people, very particular. My husband will not touch canned peas. He instantly says there is a flavor difference and he can't stand it. So now I want to kick over this question that a lot of people kind of have this myth and this belief that one is kind of better than the other. Do you guys think that buying a certain way is better than the other? Is there a certain way that you shop and you say, hey, I like fresh only, or I like canned only, or frozen? Very true. There are a lot of people that go out and think fresh is the best. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to get the most nutrients from buying fresh produce, which, I mean, you're getting a ton of nutrients no matter which way you buy. I'm not discounting that here. But one of the parts that a lot of people don't think about is fresh touches a lot of hands. So in order to get to the store for you to buy it as a consumer, it's touching the hands of the farmer of wherever it was grown and then picked. It's touching that distributor, truck, everything. It's going to their shop, going through all the processing, cleaning, and then it's going to the store, touching the hands of the grocery, and then it's touching your hands to take it home. So a lot of our fruits and vegetables have a ton of nutrients on the skin of the actual fruit or vegetable itself. So that's a lot of hands touching it. Not bad, like you wash it and it's clean. You eat it and there's still a ton of nutrients. The only difference to that is frozen and canned, they're touching one person and they're going through a cooking process right at its peak freshness, and you're getting it at that peak freshness with keeping a lot of those nutrients that fresh does touch a lot of people instead. So it's not that one is better than the other, but a lot of people don't buy canned thinking it's worse for you. And that's not always the case. If you buy canned and it does have some salt in there, you can easily put it in a strainer, strain out the salt, and it's brand new. It doesn't have any salt content. The salt was on the exterior, and now it's gone. Now you start fresh, and you can add and control the amount of salt that you want to add to your dish itself. Up to this point, does anybody have any questions for me? So we just like to kind of start off with this activity because a lot of people do. They kind of have their way set of going to the grocery store. I think before I even taught this class, I, for some reason, always thought fresh. I always buy fresh. And then I sometimes would buy frozen, but not really. And then canned, I always stayed away from, just thinking high salt content, high sugar content, and things like that. But it can easily be controlled and washed away. And you have a fresh produce that was probably way cheaper than buying something off of the fresh produce section. All right, so now I'm going to go into cooking, what we're all here for today. I am going to ask Christina if she doesn't mind handing out the recipe for today. So we are going to be making a fruit salad, lots of colors. I actually prepped a lot of this at home so you guys didn't have to watch me sit here and chop the whole time. I don't think that's always fun. But we are going to be cooking a sauce for this, utilizing the pineapple juice, I apologize, and some honey. So following this recipe, the only thing I did not cut yet was the bananas. I didn't want them to be brown when I showed up here today. So I'm just going to chop up the bananas real quick. And is there any fruit that anybody in this room just really doesn't like? I have blueberries, mangoes, strawberry, and kiwi. And then I have some mint. There's no food allergies in here to any of those items or any dislikes? All right, not hearing anything. So the best part about this fruit salad is you can add anything you want to it. Any of your favorite fruits, whatever you have left over. If you have just one banana and some random strawberries or whatever's left over in your house, throw it in a bowl and make a really nice fruit salad. It's always refreshing. And if you make it, and this is kind of just too big of a recipe just for you, best thing in the world with this recipe is you can bag it and make little smoothie packs. So I used to, in college, I used to buy a huge array of all different fruits, and then I would just bag them really small, and then I would have a ton of just smoothie bags ready to go. So I would just stick them straight in the blender from the freezer, make a smoothie on my way to school, and then I'd have that for breakfast. So great usage to utilize the rest so you don't throw anything away. Because that's always the worst when you have a bigger recipe and you're one person and you're not going to go through the whole thing. We have a quiet group today. All right, so from here, all I have right now is just the bananas into the bowl. We have about 2 cups, probably a little bit more of the strawberries. And with this one, I went ahead and did fresh because we did the frozen blueberries and mangoes. So I went with fresh on the strawberries. And then we have our kiwi here. So again, I did some of this prep work so you guys weren't having to watch me skin the kiwi and cut it all up. It's kind of a long process. Yeah. Totally, yes. Why is that? The acid. So adding that acid to the actual fruit itself keeps it fresh. One thing I loved making this summer, especially pregnant with the heat, was I did watermelon and lime juice together with just some fresh mint. It was very refreshing on especially those hot days, and it kept my watermelon super fresh way longer. So I had my watermelon in the fridge mixed up with lime juice for a few weeks before it started kind of getting bad and kind of getting a little mushy. But it took a really long time. Totally, yes. So that's, again, your acid base. Yeah, and it keeps, that's a great other way to kind of go about this recipe, even adding some of that acid to it to keep it fresher longer. So you have the fruit salad in whole a little bit longer in your fridge.
So the lime juice would help preserve the texture of the watermelon?
Yeah, so texture, so watermelon, it kind of starts getting a little mushy after some time, and yeah, it kept it kind of completely whole, and the flavor was so amazing for about a week and a half, I would say. All right, so from here, we're gonna add our frozen blueberries. So these did thaw out overnight, so they're not completely frozen, so we just have a cup of blueberries here. And then we're also just gonna do a cup of the mango chunks. And I don't know about you guys, I have never been successful. Maybe I just don't know how to purchase a mango correctly. But whenever I purchase a mango, they are always the most sour mangoes, and I can never find that perfectly sweet mango. And for me, something that I found that is helpful is I buy frozen now, and I know it's gonna be sweet. I know it's gonna be the flavor I'm looking for. So I personally only buy frozen when it comes to mangoes. And plus, they're so hard for me to cut, and I don't know why. Anybody else experience that with mangoes? That seed gets you. And I apologize for the out of breath. I am very, very pregnant these days, so wearing a mask and trying to speak and doing multiple things isn't as easy anymore for me. Yes, sir. I have kind of a bucket sink, so I'll clean my sink out first, and just so I don't have to do so much water washing and utilizing too much water, I'll fill my sink with water and I'll put some vinegar into my sink. I'll put all of the fresh produce that I just went to the store to go get. Everything will go in, and then I'll get a colander out and do a rinse off of the vinegar, and then I start the chopping process. I would say personal preference, if that's something that you would want to do. Normally, because it's already been flash frozen and it has been through a cooking process at a high temperature, I consider that bacteria to be taken away in hopes that, yeah, I am risking the factor of somebody going into the grocery store and being like, oh, I want this fresh bag or this frozen bag, and then leaving it somewhere. And they might, the employees might just toss it back into the freezer and be like, but it's been sitting out and I don't know about that. That is something that could happen. My hopes are that it's not happening and it doesn't happen common enough. But if that's a comfort level for you, I would definitely say if you want to do kind of the wash before, you're more than welcome. It's completely up to you, but I don't personally do it when it comes to any of my frozen produce. Canned, I do. So I will do a rinse off, but that's more or less to remove the sugar and the salt content. All right, so we have, gosh, can't miss the belly for anything. Gosh, about a cup of the mango going in as well. Should have brought a bigger bowl today. I wanted a see-through bowl so you guys could all see. All right. I'm going to do a quick mix to this, and then we will we'll get our sauce going. So we are using that pineapple juice. So we're gonna take, it calls for a can, but Trader Joe's only had jar pineapples. So we're going to go ahead and utilize the juice out of this and just dump that straight into our saucepan. Kind of nice when you're utilizing the same ingredient in multiple ways. I like recipes like that. So a lot of recipes would tell you to dump out the juice and get rid of it, but I like ones that kind of utilize all aspects of the fruit or vegetable that you're using. So you're gonna go ahead and dump that jar, pineapples right in. So now we have this beautiful, colorful fruit salad. And is everybody comfortable with mint? I know I kind of mentioned it, but mint is an herb that some people are sensitive to, so I'd like to ask, everybody's okay with some mint? Okay. So mint is an option. If you want to add it to your fruit salad, you're more than welcome to. Don't have to, but I think I like it to add some of that freshness to it. But we're going to heat up our pineapple juice. And then we are going to be adding 1 tablespoon of honey. If the honey wants to come out. Is anybody's go-to honey when they purchase it at the store, the Bear honey? Yeah. So my mom was visiting. They live in Southern California, and I took her to South that was in Midtown or they closed down, but they had the best biscuits known to man. And she was so excited to come home and have this biscuit and honey. And she was like, what is this honey? I had honey in a jar. And she was like, what is this? Where's the Bear honey? Who ever buys this one? So now I'm like, I didn't realize there's such a stigma with honey. So I only buy the Bear honey now. Apparently it's a fan favorite among my mother. But that's the fun part about this class is I like hearing other people's input. So all these recipes are super common. They're super relatable. You probably have made your own fruit salad about 500 times in your life with the fruits that you like. But that's where we all can kind of get together and say, oh, hey, I'd rather add this to it. And a lot of us can pick up those recipes from each other. So is there anything that, you would have omitted or you would have liked to add to this that wasn't in here today? Anybody? Is it the first class that nobody wants to speak yet?
I personally like apples because it gives you a crunch factor.
That's very true. There really isn't that crunch factor in here. So a lot of this is the same texture of fruits. So just here, we went ahead and just added our mint to it. So it calls for 3 tablespoons. I probably did a little bit under just so it doesn't overpower the fruit. Because mint is pretty strong especially at freshness. So we want it to be there for flavor, but not overpower everything. And right now we're just gonna go ahead and let this kind of cook together, the honey and the pineapple juice together. Once they mend into one, so you can kind of still see the thickness of the honey at the bottom of the pot. And once that clears up, then you know the two combined completely, and then you can go ahead and pour that right over the top of your fruit salad. So we'll give this a few minutes especially these burners aren't the fastest at getting hot, so. Let's make sure it's working. Hey, Sean, is there another plug we can use for? Where's the end of that one? Thank you. Sorry. I was like, I don't feel like getting hot. All right. And while we're waiting for that, to cook up here, and just wanted to kind of touch base on a few things. So I went ahead and handed you all out a survey at the beginning of this. For those of us that are online, if you guys don't mind I'm going to go ahead and ask you to please just write your email addresses onto the chat area. That way I can go ahead and send you some of the information. I do have handouts for everybody for today, and I can go ahead and send you through your email the handouts. And then each week, I apologize, I spaced today. Each week I will be bringing you guys, we call them incentive items. They're all gonna be involved with cooking in some capacity. So I spaced on bringing today the first one, which is this blue cutting board that I'm using. So each week you guys will be leaving with something that we are cooking with. So measuring cups, we have them for you. We have very small knives. We like to put the knife and the cutting board together so it makes sense. But yes, we will be having you guys leave with certain items. So you do have the ability and the capacity to cook the same things that we're cooking. Some people don't have a full kitchen setup. I love some of the stuff that even Sean, I gave him one of these cutting boards and he said that he brought it camping with him, and it was just a smaller, easier, compact, and that's what a lot of these kind of items that we have for the kitchen are, for smaller compactness and not so bulky. I feel like everything for the kitchen is always so bulky. All right. I'll give this just a couple more minutes. So the honey is definitely almost completely disappeared. So now we just have a nice kind of sauce together. We don't want it to get too hot because we don't want hot fruit. So that's not the goal here. It's just really to get the two to kind of come together as one sauce. We're going to pour that right over the top. So even when you're making the sauce for that acid factor, even if you wanted to do the exact same recipe, but add lime juice or lemon juice to this sauce, that's a perfect way to incorporate that and keep the peak freshness throughout your fruit salad. So, and then we're just gonna give this a nice little toss here. And then I will make up bowls for those of us in here. Does everybody want some fruit salad today? Okay. No? All right. And I will ask Christina to help hand these out if that's okay. And next week we're going to switch. So Christina, this is going to be her class, and I'm going to be hanging out with y'all. Maybe wait 1 second. I just saw all the bananas are stuck towards the bottom. I need a bigger bowl for this fruit salad. All right. And does anybody have any questions about kind of what we're doing, about anything today, about fresh, frozen, or canned? This one was probably the shortest of all of our sessions just because the cooking process isn't long at all. Everything's fresh, so we're not cooking. Next week with the quesadillas, it does take a little bit longer because we're having to cook out one quesadilla at a time. That one is one of my favorites. I love the zucchini quesadillas. So that's what next week will be all about. Were you going to say something, sir?
How long can you keep the fruit salad once it's fully mixed?
So because of the liquid that you incorporated with it, I would say you could probably keep it like 3 to 5 days maximum. That's where I would add in that frozen factor. So if you wanted to kind of strain out the liquid out of it and then make those smoothie bags, probably when you're starting to see, you'll see the kind of mushy fruit, and that's when you know things are turning. But I would definitely say about 3 days would probably be the best, and then maybe you could get to 5 with that addition of the acid. You might get a little bit longer as well. And then I would go ahead and do freezer bags if it's not all done, or give it to your neighbors. Share with everybody. Oh, here, let me give you forks too, Christine. And anybody at home, do you have any questions?
For future recipes, how can we get your recipes?
I will go ahead, and that's why I asked for you to go ahead and put your email addresses in the chat box. I will send you everything. So I'm
Okay.
going to have hard copies for those of us in person. We are actually getting books made right now that will have all the recipes inside of them. So once those books are out, if those books come while we're teaching this series, I will send those all out to you, mail them to you along with these items that I was telling you. That's why I kind of need your email addresses so I can get your mailing addresses. And I'll send you these giveaway items, the cutting board, the measuring cup, the knife, and things like that. That will all be sent to your houses as well, if you want them. Completely up to you all. But those items for coming to our classes, we would love to share them. They are our nutrition reinforcement items for this curriculum. Do I need any more? Okay. All right. Well, like I said, this is probably the shortest of all of our classes, and we hope that you all come back next week, and I appreciate it, and I apologize. Christina will be a little smoother talking and not so out of breath like me. Thank you so much, everybody, and please, if you're online, please go ahead and add your email.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. And please take some home. There is way too much here. So if you want some extra, we're happy to get you as much as you want. Sean, would you like some fruit salad?